How do you figure out how much to charge for your work? Please, I'm so bad at this. I am in a very different spot than I was even a year ago. I am definitely more established. Do you have a girlfriend? I feel like I get asked this every week. How do I get into shooting esports? Like, you have to love esports if you want to shoot esports. Welcome back to another video on the channel. We're doing a Q&A today. I threw some stuff up on my Instagram and my Twitter. So if you guys don't follow me there, make sure to go drop a follow on those socials. And we're starting off hot because my sister decided to troll me. And I know she's serious, but 3 back-to-back questions. What kind of girl you want to date? Will I have a sister soon? Do you have a girlfriend? I feel like I get asked this every week. Message from my boy Jay, current camera setup. I have been kind of in between setups. Right now for personal work and all of my short form content, YouTube videos, stuff like this, it has been what I'm shooting on right now, which is the Sony a7 IV with a 16 1.8mm with Sony EM1 mic. I could totally be wrong and I could be butchering that. But that's pretty much been like my go-to for vlogging, talking in videos like this, short form content, pretty much everything. But when it comes to like event photography and stuff like that, I'll swap this lens out with actually that lens right there. That is a 28-45 Sigma 1.8. That is honestly my favorite lens for event photography. But the reason why I say I'm constantly switching is because this camera right here, which is my Lumix S5 II with a Sigma 24-70 2.8, is what I use for all my professional work. I just recently did a gig with Intel at DreamHack and I shot everything on this, and my Sony didn't even get used that weekend. So it's a little weird right now. This is for all my professional stuff. I either want to trade this in or add a FX3 or an FX3 Mark II, whatever, if it does come out. I do want to make the switch fully to Sony. I do love my Lumix camera. This thing has done wonders for me. It has shot the majority of the events I have done in my freelancing career. All right, next question. What is the best group chat in all the land, Mr. Gerbs? Of course, it's the Gerbs Hub. I love that group chat. It's a bunch of very talented creatives, and I am honored to be part of that because I am definitely not the most talented one in that group chat. From Mr. Kool-Aid on Twitter, how do you figure out how much to charge for your work? Please, I'm so bad at this. I am still awful at this. And I'm gonna give a very beat around the bush answer because there is no set answer to this question. It depends on who you are as a creative, who you're working for as a creative. Does it fit the client's budget? I am in a very different spot than I was even a year ago. I am definitely more established in the spaces that I constantly get pulled by clients. But for my pricing breakdown, this is for me personally, I love esports. I'm very much into that space. I have an esports rate and I actually have a corporate rate. But those are not like set numbers. Those can fluctuate based off of whatever a team needs, whatever a corporation needs. Am I just doing photos and am I editing them? Am I just covering for video and I don't have to edit at all? Am I editing a project? How much equipment is being used? There is a lot that goes into it. Me being an event photographer slash videographer, when it comes to esports and the teams I cover, I typically charge by the day, whether it is a full day or a half day. But when it comes to corporations and any companies, anything quite like that, I typically do hourly pricing just because at that point it's on the company to choose how long they actually want me for and what kind of work I actually am going to be doing for them, compared to if I gave them a day rate, and that day rate for them could be completely under budget to where I'm doing a lot more in that specific day and I definitely didn't get paid what I was, or vice versa, where I give them a day rate and they say we only need you for XYZ, where I could have priced them out by like 2 or 3 hours. With all that being said, a general rule of thumb for me is, would I pay the price I'm about to give somebody for the work I'm about to give them? And if that answer is yes, then you should be okay. But also, if you find yourself giving prices and people are constantly telling you no, maybe you need to either lower your price or package it a little bit differently. But the overall sentiment of this, it is not a one size fits all. All creatives are different. All work is different. The companies you work for, we are all different. We'll go with another trolly one, Mr. Rob. Why were you smiling extra big at DreamHack? It's because I got to work with Intel. If you were to tell me 2 years ago or even a year ago that I would be contracted out by Intel, I would say you're insane. But this DreamHack, different story. It was a cool experience. But at the same time, Rob, right there, buddy. North Media, aka Dom, asks, what is it like having burnout / still needing to push client content and your own? This is something I am still struggling to this day. But with that said, burnout is very much a real thing, and the personal content I like to make when it comes to tech review stuff and cameras, lenses, all that kind of stuff. For me, while yes, it is tiring and it does contribute to my burnout, there is a somewhat creative outlet to it. And I actually love this question because this just happened to me. I was very much in a slump when it came to short form content and just personal content. I ended up shooting an event down here in Arlington that kind of put a pause on my YouTube upload schedule, and as I was ready to get back into it, I ended up getting into a pretty bad car crash, which totaled my car. And the process of going through insurance and all that, everything was just very draining, just mentally, everything. So I honestly had no desire to push out any personal content whatsoever. And then DreamHack came along and I was super busy that weekend. So it was very much, that made sense why the content was kind of put on hold. But after DreamHack, I slowed down a bit on the freelance work. So it only made sense I should go back into my, making personal content and all of that. But again, I still had no drive to really do it. And even though I didn't want to do it, there is this sense of discipline you have to have if you want to turn this content thing, your freelance work, your business, whatever that thing is that you are passionate about. Because I'm still really passionate about making content. I just had no drive to do it because I had taken a long break and all the stuff that goes along with that. But having that discipline to get back on it is a hard thing to have, but I've built that up over the last 2 years to when you have a schedule and you're trying to achieve something, you just have to do it. I will say there are creative sparks that happen, and luckily enough I got one of those. It's funny because it's sitting right here. The Nintendo Switch 2 came out. I really wanted to make some content on this. I've never owned a Switch before, so the fact that I actually had one and was able to get one and make some content on it, that immediately sparked, not my passion because I still had it, but that sparked my want to actually create short form content again, get back on this YouTube grind, even though I'm personally behind schedule on it. So there may be a couple double uploads coming up. But when it comes to burnout, it's gonna happen. All creators go through it. It's okay to take a small break, but don't waste that break. Make sure you rest. Make sure you're looking up other things that may, give you that spark again. In my opinion, you should still be consuming some type of content to keep the mind and the juices flowing when it comes to your creative work and all that. And honestly, reach for any creative spark. Like I said, mine was just a random Switch 2 that, all of a sudden I had 7 videos. I was like, yes, I want to do this XYZ. And that brought me even to this, doing this Q&A of okay, wait, I can do this for YouTube, I can do this. And all of a sudden that kind of just kickstarted me back into my rhythm. The last thing I'll say about it, breaks are okay, breaks are good, just use them wisely. An actual somewhat serious question my sister just asked me, how can I improve my social media? For you, specifically, you just need to post anything. Post anything. When you do that, ask this again in 6 months. Okay, I've gotten this question a couple times. How do I get into shooting esports? Esports is very, very niche when it comes to, obviously, photography. There's nothing else quite like it. With the way esports events are structured, it's very much a mixture of concert and event style photography. And I would say over these last 2 or 3 years, esports creatives have really started to emerge on the scene. Even myself, even though that's my niche and I'm kind of known for it, I've only been in the esports space when it comes to photography and creative and all that for 2 years. And in my personal opinion, it is who you know. There is no way I would be as far as I am when it comes to working with teams, people, other content creators, people in the scene, if I didn't make as many connections as I possibly could have. And the best way to get to know people is go to events, whether that is Call of Duty, Halo, stuff like DreamHack, TwitchCon, anywhere where content creators, where teams are, companies that work in the space, somewhere where you can go up to a booth, introduce yourself, just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I do this, this, and this, just to make that connection. Not even asking how can I work with you guys, none of that. Just make genuine connections, and I'll emphasize genuine. I love the esports space with all my heart, but there are a ton of fake people in this space that will literally just use you to climb that social ladder. So being labeled or associated as a genuine person in this space will get you very, very far. And while you are at these events, bring your camera, start shooting. Majority of the time, the only way you're gonna get hired by either a team or a content creator is showing you have experience in the esports space. And the only way you can get that is if you actually just bring your camera to an event and start shooting. I shot 4 separate events completely and utterly for free before I even saw a dime, and it was not a great dime either. The esports space is not that great financially, so if you're trying to make money off of it, you're not going to be the best place to do it. Before you even get into it, you have to really love the space in general. I am very much in the COD scene. I love Call of Duty. I love competitive Call of Duty. It's on my TV as I'm recording this right now. Over the last 2 years, I've met so many great people in the space and actually been able to work with Call of Duty themselves to cover events and work with other teams and other content creators that are in that space. But it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of effort. But just make sure you love it before you get into it, because it is a long journey. And even one of my other friends is like, you have to love esports if you want to shoot esports. On a more practical terms, a lot of people asking that question are typically on Instagram. The esports community as a whole lives on Twitter or X, whatever the hell I call it, Twitter. So if you want to make connections and actually post things that are going to be seen by these teams and the right people need to see it, Instagram is not the place for it, unfortunately. Twitter, that is that place. I have made so many more connections because of Twitter compared to Instagram. So just food for thought. All right, Carbon asks, what is your established content / editing process? How do you manage your personal versus professional time? That is a very loaded question. When it comes to personal time and professional time, I am very much in the gaming scene and shoot all that kind of stuff and like the tech scene and all that. So a lot of my personal time is honestly just watching that kind of content. It's very hard to separate, but what I will say is I may come back from work and put in 7 hours worth of editing, and it's gonna take me an hour to truly unwind and just turn off my brain from the content I'm creating or the content I'm working on for a client. And I use that time for to consume a podcast, to consume streamers that I enjoy watching. I don't need much social interaction just as a human, so being able to just really lock in here or just chill on the couch or in bed anytime where I'm not working on anything, to me is personal time. So I could just be eating breakfast, watching TV or something like that, and that can recharge me. And that's I only need 30 minutes, and then I can kind of hop back in. So for me, I'm a really bad person to ask about that, because my mind is constantly going. There is not a 5-minute period in the day where I'm not thinking about some sort of content I could be making or a client work or something like that. I definitely have gotten better over the last year to make sure I get off the computer a little bit earlier and go to bed earlier. I have definitely gotten a little bit better at that, but I am very much on the go. I'm 29, I'm single, I have essentially all the time in the world right now, so I'm taking advantage of it as much as I can, because there will be a time where I will not have all this extra free time and I'm gonna regret not using it right now. So for me, I'm a go person, but I definitely do take a couple hours in the day to myself, relax, watch some YouTube, watch some Twitch, whatever it is. As far as established content / editing process, that's going to be a separate video, because I don't necessarily have a set process. I have structure, which is very flexible, but I'll get into that in a separate entire video. Lighting Jet, my guy from Kiko. I am affiliated with Kiko. They have lit my entire office. This light you see behind me here, my key light, which is here, and also my fill light, which is here. There's a couple other things around this office. I'm gonna make a completely separate YouTube video when it comes to this setup here very soon, and it's gonna include my lighting, how I use it, why I placed it where I did, all that kind of fun stuff. But shout out to the Kiko guys, they are awesome. I love working with them. All right, let's wrap it up and let's do, Carly asks, what is your favorite event you've ever covered? I've done a decent amount now. I feel like it's only been 2 years, but I feel like I've covered a decent amount, but it's easily Call of Duty Champs. COD Champs last year was insane. It was here in Texas, hosted by Optic. It was one of those bucket list events where my first event shooting, taking freelance really seriously, was a Call of Duty event, and like I said, shot it for free. One of the things that I made a mental note, a bucket list, was I want to shoot COD Champs, whether it's for a creator, a team, and it ended up being with Call of Duty themselves. So Call of Duty Champs was by far the favorite event. The stage setup, the way it was designed, Just the arena was absolutely ridiculous. And with barely a year of, you know, dipping my foot into the space and being able to say I've worked with a brand like Call of Duty was super cool. That community specifically has connected me with so many people. Some of my best friends now I met because of that community. And even though I don't personally create content in that space anymore, just being a part of it in a way I know I'm very good at, it means a ton to me, like more than you guys can even imagine. But yeah, COD Champs was insane. I loved that event. But that is gonna wrap it up. But I know I didn't get to everything. I definitely want to do these a little bit more consistently. Probably will do like more response type on Instagram. So like I said, make sure to go follow me on Instagram and Twitter, that kind of stuff. Let me know if you guys like this kind of video. I always like this kind of like just, you know, answering questions. I get to get really specific with things people ask me. So I definitely want to do more of these in the future. Maybe I'll build this into more of a, you know, day in the life kind of thing while I do it. But if you guys did make it to the very end of this video, drop a creative in the comments. CRTV, no vowels. But if not, like, subscribe, you know, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.